The first 3 hours of the flight had been calm, then a sudden turbulence, and a strange announcement followed. We need your attention. The plane is now under our control. Ibrahim Traoré had concealed his identity while returning from Paris to Burkina Faso. Now on the hijacked plane, he was being held hostage, along with 182 innocent passengers. The hijackers were negotiating from the cockpit with negotiator $10 million and the release of 3 prisoners from Lante prison. This was their only condition, but if they knew that Ibrahim Traoré was sitting in seat 178 there, demands would have been very different. Air France flight AF 726 from Paris to Ouagadougou had begun as a calm afternoon journey. The plane was filled with mostly French tourist business people and Burkina returning home. In seat 178 by the window sat a man in simple clothes, a dark shirt, blue jeans, and sporty shoes. He wore a baseball cap and sunglasses. No one knew he was Ibrahim Traoré, the transitional leader of Burkina Faso. After his secret diplomatic meetings in Paris, he had decided to return to his country without drawing too much attention. He thought that official flights required protocol were announced in advance and posed a risk. The plane had enemy airspace when a flight attendant, while serving hot drinks, suddenly noticed 4 passengers standing up. At first, she thought it was an argument, but then she saw the gleaming metal object, a gun. In an instant, the frightened flight attendant dropped her tray, hot tea spilling everywhere. "Nobody move," shouted one of the men, speaking in Arabic with a French accent. "We've taken control of the plane. Follow instructions and no one will get hurt." Ibrahim Traoré watched the situation calmly from his security training and military background. He knew that the first moments in such situations were the most critical. Guns were drawn, panic spread, and violence might be used to gain control. 2 of the hijackers quickly moved to the cockpit. The other 2 positioned themselves at the front and back of economy class, keeping the passengers under control. People were silently crying, some praying, others clinging to their phones. "We will collect your phones, tablets, electronic devices," announced the man at the back. "Don't resist or the consequences will be severe." Traoré quickly slipped his phone into the side pocket of the seat. The hijackers had not yet systematically collected electronic devices. They were tried to establish chaotic control. The hijacker, who had returned from the cockpit, stood in front of the passengers. "Now listen to me. This plane is now under our control. Our demands are simple: $10 million and the release of 3 prisoners from Lante prison in France. If our demands are met, you will all be able to return to your homes." Traoré studied the man's eyes. He was tense, anxious, but determined. He wasn't a professional terrorist, but rather someone with ideological motivation. Hours began to pass. The plane, deviating from its normal route, was circling over Mali. The pilot, under the hijackers' instructions, was staying airborne to gain time for negotiation. Ibrahim Traoré was observing the passengers. Around him, next to him, sat an elderly Burkina woman who was trembling. A few rows ahead, a mother was trying to calm her 2 small children across the aisle. 3 French businessmen were whispering anxiously. "Don't worry," said Traoré quietly to the elderly woman beside him. "Everything will be all right. You're Burkina, aren't you?" "My son?" asked the woman with tears in her eyes. "Yes, mother. We will all return home," said Traoré confidently. A hijacker came out of the cockpit and began talking to another. Traoré could see their tension even from a short distance. Something was going wrong. With a sudden decision, one of the hijackers grabbed a passenger, a middle-aged French man, and began dragging him toward the cockpit. "The negotiations are not being taken seriously," he shouted. "Maybe if we send a hostage, they will listen more carefully." It was at that moment that Ibrahim Traoré had to make a decision. He could reveal his identity and offer himself as the most valuable hostage. This could save the other passengers, but might plunge his country into a major diplomatic crisis, or he could remain silent and wait for the situation to develop. Traore decided to stand up, but before revealing his identity, he decided to make one last move. Stop, he called out in a strong but calm tone. That negotiations take time. Sudden decisions can lead to bad outcomes for everyone. The hijacker looked at Traore. With surprise, he pointed his gun at him. Who are you to tell me what to do? I'm just a passenger, said Traore calmly, but I know how negotiations work. Resorting to violence makes it harder for you to get what you want. The hijacker paused for a moment, then approached Traore. Why are you so confident? Who are you? He asked, still pointing his gun. I just worked as a diplomat, said Traore without lying. I know how agreements are made. If you want, I can help with the negotiation. The hijacker thought for a while, then he looked at the other three men. A quick conversation passed between them in mixed Arabic and French. Finally, their apparent leader nodded. Okay, diplomat, he said in a mocking tone, show us your skill. Come to the cockpit. Traore rose calmly. He didn't take his eyes off the hijackers. Slowly, he moved toward the cockpit. Passengers watched anxiously. The elderly woman he passed whispered, God protect you, my son. When he entered the cockpit, the pilot and co-pilot were at the controls, looking tired and tense. One of the hijackers was controlling the radio communication. Who is this? Asked the man on the radio when he saw a trial. A diplomat, said the leader hijacker. He's going to help with the negotiation. The person on the radio, apparently a French negotiator, looked suspicious. Is this a trap you brought? A hostage? So no, said Traore in a calm voice. I'm just a passenger and I want this situation to be resolved peacefully. I want everyone to return home safely. Ibrahim Traoré was thinking about his next move. He needed to get to know the hijackers to understand their motivations. First, everyone needs to stay calm, he said to the negotiator and the hijacker. What is the goal? The release of 3 prisoners and money. Correct, yes, said the leader. Our brothers are being held in land. We want them back. Who are these brothers of yours? Asked Traore carefully. Malik al Zim, Riyad Hamoudi, and Omar Benani, said the leader. They are not terrorists, they're freedom fighters. They were accused of helping the Traore uprising in Mali. Try immediately recognized these names. The 3 men had been accused of attacking French military facilities, but they had also become symbolic figures protesting French neo-colonial activities in West Africa. I understand, said Traore. And what is the purpose of the money for? More struggle, said the leader, until France's presence in Africa. And Traore had understood the ideological motivation of these men. Anti-colonial sentiments were strong across Africa, especially in West Africa. He himself had similar thoughts, but certainly not through Violet. May I know your names? Asked Traore. I am Youssef, said the leader. These are my brothers Hakim, Jamal, and Ahmed. Youssef, said Traore. I can help with the negotiation, but what is your goal? Hostage processes are usually long and complex. Governments, especially France, want to appear as not giving into terrorism. We are not terrorists, Youssef responded angrily. We just want justice. We are fighting against the colonialists who suck Africa's blood. Traore nodded. I understand. You thought of another way, maybe a political statement, an application to an international court? We tried those ways, said Youssef with a bitter voice. Nobody listened. My brothers have been in prison for 7 years. We couldn't wait anymore. Traore was forming his strategy. These men were not professional terrorists. They were ideologically motivated people who felt desperate. Maybe he could convince them. Well, what is your plan? Even if your demands are met, how will you escape? Have you thought about that? Youssef and the others looked at each other. Their plan wasn't fully developed. We plan to land in Mali and cross the border from there, said Youssef in a voice not entirely confident. They will catch you immediately, said Traore. There will be special forces where the plane lands. Traore could see the uncertainty in Youssef's eyes, but maybe there is another way. He continued, I can help as a mediator. Perhaps we can bring the Situation of the prisoners, Tuan. International platform without resorting to violence. It's too late, said Youssef. We